On the magical night of Halloween, the enchanting woods of Spain were bathed in the soft light of the full moon, illuminating every corner with a silvery glow. In one of the tallest trees, a little spider named Webby awoke from a deep sleep. With her bright, curious eyes, she stretched and looked out from her home, a delicate web she had woven with great care. "Today is the day," Webby exclaimed, her voice soft as the whisper of the wind. "Today I'm going to create the most spectacular web this forest has ever seen." Webby had always had a passion for weaving. Her dream was for her creation to be the highlight of the Halloween celebration, adorning the forest and enchanting all who passed by. She imagined how wonderful it would be to see the other animals admiring her masterpiece. "If I can make the most beautiful web, everyone will be so happy," she thought, filled with enthusiasm. With determination, Webby began to work. She grabbed her shiny silk threads, which shimmered under the moonlight, and started to weave with skill. "One thread here, another there," she murmured, as she moved her tiny legs with agility. The gentle breeze of the night made her creation sway softly, as if the forest itself were applauding her work. She smiled as she saw the shape of the web starting to take form, filled with intricate patterns that reflected her love for the art. As she wove, Webby began to sing softly. Her voice was sweet and melodious, and the notes floated through the air, bringing a touch of joy to the environment. "I weave the night, I weave the light, with every thread magic shines bright," she sang, losing herself in the melody and the beauty of the moment. The sound of her song echoed through the woods, and Webby felt she was creating something truly special. However, as the night wore on, the wind began to change. The leaves of the trees whispered to each other, and the gentle breeze transformed into a stronger gust. Webby, focused on her task, didn't notice the change until she felt the web sway drastically. "What's happening?" she exclaimed, her eyes wide with worry. Before she could react, a strong gust of wind swept through her creation, causing the web to unravel into a tangle of threads. Devastated, Webby sat on a branch of the tree, watching her masterpiece fall apart before her eyes. "Oh no, everything I made," she lamented, her voice heavy with sadness. "I wanted it to be so beautiful. Now it's all ruined." Tears began to slide down her face, reflecting the moonlight, while she felt defeated and disheartened. The forest, which had once seemed magical, now felt like a dark and lonely place. "Why couldn't I do it?" Webby whispered to herself, feeling small and powerless. "Maybe I'm not good enough for this." Despair enveloped her like a heavy web, and she wondered if she should give up on her dreams of creating something special. The night, which had begun full of hope, now felt like a nightmare. But just then a soft and wise "hoo" echoed through the forest. It was the wise owl flying toward Webby. He landed beside her and looked at her with understanding eyes. "Webby, my dear, what happened?" he asked, his voice deep and comforting. I tried to make the most beautiful web for Halloween, but it all fell apart," Webby replied, her voice trembling. "Now I don't know what to do. I feel like I've failed." The wise owl looked at her tenderly. "Challenges can be disguised opportunities, little spider. Sometimes the path we desire isn't what leads us to true beauty." He paused, gazing at the forest, illuminated by the moon. "Why don't you tell me more about your plans? Perhaps together we can find a new way to celebrate." Webby looked at the owl, feeling a spark of hope ignite in her heart. "Do you really think I can still do something special?" she asked, a hint of hope in her voice. "Absolutely. True beauty comes from collaboration and shared joy. You're not alone here. Let's work together," said the owl, winking. And so, the little spider began to believe again that she could realize her dream, now with the help of her friends. Webby was sitting in her favorite corner of the tree, sadness etched on her face. The glow of the full moon that once inspired her now seemed just a reminder of what she had lost. The strong wind had torn apart her web, and the spider felt powerless against the forces of nature. As she looked at the shiny silk scraps scattered on the ground, a soft "hoo" cut through the silence of the night. It was the wise owl, gracefully flying toward Webby's tree. He landed elegantly on a nearby branch. "Good evening, my young friend," he said, with a deep, calm voice. "What brings you such sadness on this beautiful Halloween night?" Webby sighed, swinging her long legs. "Oh, wise owl, I dreamed of creating the prettiest web of all to adorn the forest. But the wind blew it all away. Now I don't know what to do." The wise owl tilted his head and looked at the spider with compassion. "Ah, Webby, challenges like this are opportunities in disguise. Sometimes what seems like a defeat can turn into a chance to learn and grow. Have you thought about asking your friends for help?" Webby thought for a moment. "You're right, wise owl. I was so focused on doing everything alone that I didn't realize I could rely on them. But what if they don't want to help me? Your friends care about you, and they would love to collaborate. The true beauty of celebration lies in unity. Why not call them? You might be surprised at what you can accomplish together," advised the owl. The spider began to feel a small spark of hope. With a shy smile, she said, "You're right. I'm going to look for Agile Squirrel and Melodic Bird. Together we can create something incredible." Determined, Webby quickly climbed down from the tree and began searching for her friends. It didn't take long for her to find Agile Squirrel, who was leaping from branch to branch, gathering acorns. "Agile, can you help me?" Webby called out, catching her breath. Agile paused, curiosity sparkling in her eyes. "Of course, Webby. What happened?" "I was trying to make a beautiful web, but the wind destroyed it. I'm thinking about creating something even better. But I need your help," Webby explained, her voice filled with excitement. "Let's do it. What do you have in mind?" Agile asked, already eager to get involved. "We need to find Melodic Bird and discuss how we can create something that's both beautiful and sturdy." Wise Owl reminded me that teamwork can lead to amazing results, Webby replied, already making her way toward the spot where Melodic Bird usually sang. When they arrived at a moonlit clearing, Webby spotted Melodic Bird perched on a branch singing a cheerful tune. "Melodic, come here, we need your help," Webby called, waving her paws. Melodic Bird flew over and landed gently. "What's going on, my friends?" he asked, looking curious. "I'm trying to create a web for the Halloween party, but the wind destroyed it. Wise Owl suggested that we work together to make something even better." "Would you join us?" Webby explained. "Absolutely. I'd love to help. We can create something amazing together," Melodic Bird replied enthusiastically. With all their friends gathered, they sat in a circle to discuss their ideas. Passion and excitement began to fill the air. "Let's meet in the clearing and think about how we can make the web more beautiful and durable," Agile Squirrel suggested. "And we can add decorations. Imagine colorful leaves and little pumpkins. That will make the web even more magical," Webby suggested, already envisioning the stunning creation they could make. "Yes, and I can sing while we work to make everything more fun," Melodic Bird chimed in, nodding in agreement. And so, with renewed determination and strengthened unity, the friends prepared for a new beginning. The spirit of collaboration was in the air, and everyone knew that together they could overcome any challenge. The forest clearing was filled with gentle sounds like the chirping of birds and the rustling of leaves in the breeze. Webby the spider looked at her friends with a renewed expression of determination. After the inspiring talk with Wise Owl, she was ready to turn her sadness into creativity. "We need to find a way to make my web even more special," she said, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. Agile Squirrel, always full of energy and ideas, jumped up excitedly. "What if we used colorful leaves? The trees are changing color, and that could add a vibrant touch to your web." She gestured as if she could already see the leaves dancing in the wind while adorning the web. Webby smiled, admiring her friend's creativity. "That would be amazing. The bright colors will make the web shine even more under the moonlight." Melodic Bird, perched on a nearby branch, began to sing a cheerful song that filled the air with a soft melody. "Let's collect not just leaves but also small pumpkins and other decorations," he suggested, his melodious voice echoing through the forest. "Imagine the beauty of a web filled with colors and shapes. It would be a true spectacle." Yes, definitely, exclaimed Agile Squirrel, bouncing from one foot to the other. And we can use grass ribbons to tie everything together. It'll be so beautiful that everyone will want to take pictures with the web. Webby became even more excited. That's right. Let's collect everything we can. The forest is full of treasures we can use. She looked at her friends with a sparkling determination. Together, we'll make the most beautiful web that ever existed. The friends began to move, each heading in a different direction, ready to explore the forest in search of the perfect materials. Agile Squirrel dashed to a nearby tree where red and gold leaves were gently falling. Look at these leaves. They're so vibrant, she shouted, holding a handful of them in her paws. I'm going to gather as many as I can. Meanwhile, Melodic Bird flew high, surveying the forest from above. I can see some small pumpkins by the stream, he sang, swooping down toward the spot. I'll grab a few for us. Webby, for her part, began to explore the forest floor where small fruits and colorful flowers were scattered. These little red fruits are perfect for adding a special touch to the web, she thought, filling her web with the decorations she found. In less than an hour, the group reunited in the clearing, each bringing their discoveries. Agile Squirrel was carrying a pile of leaves in her paws, while Melodic Bird brought some small pumpkins in his beak. "Look what I found!" Melodic exclaimed, landing carefully to avoid dropping the decorations. "These pumpkins are going to look amazing on the web." Webby watched in amazement at her friend's contributions. "You really found wonderful things," she said, admiring the vibrant leaves and pumpkins. "Together we can create something truly magical." As they organized the materials in a corner of the clearing, laughter and chatter began to echo. "This is going to be so much fun," Agile Squirrel said, looking at Webby with excitement. "I think we've never made anything this beautiful before." "I agree," replied Melodic Bird, his voice full of enthusiasm. "And the best part is that we're doing it together. Music and laughter make everything even more special." Webby smiled, feeling the warmth of friendship envelop her. "Yes, that's what makes everything beautiful. It's not just the web we're creating, but also the moments we share. I'm so happy to have friends like you." With hearts full of joy and enthusiasm, the friends prepared to begin their work, ready to transform the clearing into a magical place where the beauty of nature and the magic of friendship would intertwine in the most incredible Halloween web the forest had ever seen. Webby, the spider, looked at the forest clearing with her eyes shining with anticipation. With the materials they had gathered, she and her friends were ready to bring to life the web she had dreamed of. The moonlight filtered through the leaves, creating a spectacle of light and shadow all around. The atmosphere was charged with creativity and excitement. "Come on, everyone!" exclaimed Webby, her radiant smile brightening the night. "We're about to create something amazing." The agile squirrel, always full of energy, bounced from side to side. "I can already see it. With the colorful leaves and little pumpkins, our web is going to be the prettiest of all." She picked up a vibrant red leaf and held it with her front paws like a trophy. The wise owl, with his wisdom and calm, observed the movements of his friends. "Remember that teamwork is essential. Each of us brings something special to this creation. Let's focus and do this together." The melodious bird, with his gentle song, began to sing about friendship and collaboration. "Let's turn this night into a symphony of joy." He flew in circles around the group, his melody filling the air with hope and enthusiasm. Inspired by the music, Webby began to weave the silk threads she had brought. "I'll start with the base of the web. We need it to be strong enough to hold all the decorations." With her agile legs, she began to intertwine the threads, creating a solid structure. "I can help with that," said the agile squirrel, running over to the web and holding one of the threads. "I'm fast and can pass the threads to you." She started helping Webby, pulling and stretching the threads while the spider focused on weaving. "Excellent work, Squirrel," praised the wise owl, watching the harmony of the team. "Now, let's add the decorations we've collected. That will give a special touch to our creation." "I'll bring the pumpkins," shouted the squirrel, running back with small pumpkins in her paws. "Look, they're perfect for hanging on the web." Webby smiled, admiring her friend's enthusiasm. "Perfect! Let's arrange them so they are clearly visible. They'll shine under the moonlight." As everyone worked together, the web began to take shape. The colorful leaves and little fruits were delicately intertwined, creating a spectacle of colors. "Look at this," said Webby, admiring the progress. "It's turning out wonderful." The melodious bird flew low, landing on the web and singing a new song about the beauty of unity. "Together we are stronger. Together we make the magic happen." His voice echoed through the forest, enveloping everyone in a feeling of joy. "Yes, that's true," agreed the agile squirrel, looking at the web. "It's going to be so beautiful that everyone will want to come see it." However, as they worked, a distant sound of laughter and voices began to approach. Webby stopped and looked nervously at her friends. "What is that? It sounds like someone is coming." The wise owl, sensing Webby's apprehension, perched beside her. "Don't worry, Webby. Whatever comes, we must be prepared. If it's children, they might join us and help make the celebration even more fun." Webby frowned, unable to hide her concern. "What if they destroy everything? We worked so hard to create this." "Webby," said the owl, in a gentle and encouraging tone, "remember that the true essence of Halloween is to share joy. If you open yourself to that, you might find much more than just the beauty of your web." The spider looked at the web and then at her friends, realizing that joy and unity were what truly mattered. She took a deep breath, feeling her hesitation begin to fade. "You're right, Owl. Let's see what happens." Webby, the little spider, remained still atop the branch of her tree, her heart racing and a sense of nervousness growing within her. The joyful laughter of the approaching children echoed through the woods, mingling with the gentle sound of the wind rustling the leaves. She looked at her web, still glowing with the vibrant colors of the decorations she had collected. But the thought that everything could be destroyed in an instant left her anxious. What if they don't like it? What if they pull the web and it all comes crashing down? Webby murmured to herself, her 8 eyes fixed on the direction from which the voices were coming. Fear paralyzed her, and the desire to protect her creation began to overshadow the joy she had felt while working with her friends. It was then that the wise owl, who was just a few steps away, softly landed beside her. He noticed the worried expression on the spider's face and decided to intervene. "Webby, my dear, what troubles you?" he asked, his tone serious yet gentle. "Boo-ho, look, the children are coming and I'm afraid they'll ruin everything. I worked so hard to make this, and I don't want them to break the web," Webby replied, her voice trembling. The wise owl tilted his head, reflecting on the spider's words. "I understand your fear, but you must remember that Halloween is a time for celebration, joy, and sharing special moments. Don't forget that every laugh is a sign of happiness, and happiness should be shared." Webby looked at the owl, absorbing his words. "But what if they don't understand? What if they don't respect what we've done?" "Oh, my friend," the owl continued with a smile, "your confusing intention. The children come with joy in their hearts. They can very well become your allies. Instead of fearing them, why not invite them to join you? Imagine the beauty of seeing everyone collaborating and celebrating together." The owl's words resonated in Webby's mind. She remembered how collaboration had transformed her web into something magnificent. What could be more beautiful than uniting everyone around the joy of Halloween? "You're right, Owl. What I'm doing is letting fear prevent me from seeing the true essence of this celebration," Webby replied, feeling more confident. "I think I'll invite them. They can add even more joy to our decorations." "That's it!" exclaimed the owl. "Go ahead, Webby. Be brave. And remember, the true beauty of life lies in the connections we make." With a lighter heart and growing determination, Webby took a deep breath and prepared to approach the group of children that were drawing near. She recalled the owl's words and decided she wouldn't let fear dominate her. With a glimmer in her eyes, she declared, "I'm going to do it!" She climbed down from the branch and walked toward the children, who were enjoying themselves as they explored the forest. As she approached, Webby felt a flutter in her stomach, but the idea of sharing her creation and celebrating together excited her. "Hi, everyone," Webby called out, trying to sound cheerful. The children stopped and looked at the little spider, surprised by her presence. "I'm Webby. I'm making a special web for Halloween, and I'd like to invite you to help us decorate. Would you like to join in?" The children were stunned for a moment, but soon a blonde-haired boy in front responded with a wide smile. "Yes, that sounds awesome. We love helping." Another boy dressed as a pirate shouted, "Can we bring more things to decorate? We have lanterns and candy." Webby smiled, feeling relieved and excited by the children's response. "Of course! The more the merrier. Let's create a party that no one will forget." The wise owl watched from a distance, satisfied to see Webby overcome her fear. He knew that the true essence of Halloween was about to shine even brighter, now that friendship and collaboration were coming together to create a magical celebration. Webby took a deep breath, feeling the anxiety rise in her chest. The laughter and voices of the children drew closer, and she hesitated, caught between the fear that her masterpiece might be damaged and the desire to share the joy of Halloween. The wise owl, observing the little spider's restlessness, landed beside her and with his calm and soothing voice said, "Webby, remember what we talked about. Halloween is a time for celebration, for sharing joy. Look at those children. They are so excited. Why not invite them to join us?" The owl's words echoed in Webby's mind, and despite her nervousness, a spark of courage began to glow within her. "You're right, Owl. If I hold back, I might miss an incredible opportunity to spread joy. Let's do this. I'll invite them." Determined, Webby climbed down from her tree and approached the clearing where the children were gathering. They were dressed in colorful costumes, witches, ghosts, and even magical creatures. Their eyes sparkled with excitement, and their smiles were contagious. Webby paused for a moment, admiring the scene. "Hi, kids," Webby called, her voice a bit shaky but full of enthusiasm. "I'm Aranya Webby, and I'm weaving a special web for Halloween. Would you like to help me decorate it?" The children stopped and looked at the spider with curiosity. A little girl dressed as a witch, with a pointy hat and a broomstick in hand, was the first to respond. "Sure, Webby, that sounds like so much fun. What do we need to do?" Webby smiled, relieved by their receptiveness. "We need more colorful leaves, little decorations, and even some pumpkins. Together we can make it even more beautiful. What do you all think?" The children exchanged excited glances and soon began discussing among themselves. A boy in a zombie costume raised his hand. "I can go get leaves. I saw a bunch of them near the fountain." "And I can grab the pumpkins," shouted a girl dressed as a fairy, gesturing animatedly with her tiny hands. "They're so cute, and we can hang them on the web." Webby watched their excitement grow, and her heart filled with joy. "Great, then let's divide the tasks. Owl, can you help us choose the best leaves?" "Of course, my young friend," the wise owl replied, a glimmer of wisdom in his eyes. "Let's make sure every leaf is perfect for your magnificent web." Meanwhile, the children began to scatter through the forest, laughing and chatting animatedly. Webby was enchanted to see their energy and realized that the true essence of Halloween was manifesting right before her eyes. As the little ones collected materials, Webby turned to the melodic bird. "Can you help us create a fun song while we work? Music always brings more joy." "Of course, Webby. I'll sing a song that will make everyone dance." The melodic bird began to sing a cheerful melody, and soon the children returned, carrying vibrant leaves and shiny decorations. "Look what I brought," said the little witch, holding a handful of red and orange leaves. "These are going to look amazing on your web." Webby, filled with enthusiasm, exclaimed, "Yes, those colors will make everything prettier. Let's start working together and see what we can create." The children gathered around Webby, and the clearing soon filled with laughter and joy. They began passing leaves to Webby, who wove them into the web, while the melodic bird continued to sing, lifting the group's spirits. "This is so cool!" shouted a boy dressed as a monster holding a small pumpkin. "I've never done anything like this before." "It's the best part of Halloween," replied the fairy girl, winking at him. "Working together and creating something amazing." Webby looked at her new friends, feeling happiness grow in her heart. She realized that despite her initial worries, the unity and creativity were transforming the forest into a magical place. More importantly, she had learned that sharing joy was the true spirit of Halloween. As the night progressed, the once silent forest now buzzed with the contagious energy of celebration. The full moon cast its silver light over the treetops, while the lanterns that Webby and her friends had hung from the branches began to glow, creating a magical spectacle. Laughter echoed among the trees, and the scent of colorful leaves mixed with the decorated little fruits danced in the air, filling everyone's hearts with joy. Webby watched the scene with a radiant smile on her face. "Look how beautiful everything turned out," she exclaimed, her eyes shining with happiness. "I never thought our web would become such a beautiful symbol of Halloween." The agile squirrel, who was hanging from a nearby branch, swung back and forth, full of energy. "And it's all thanks to you, Webby. You had the idea to invite the kids. Without them, the forest wouldn't have this life." She gestured animatedly, pointing to the little ones who were adding more decorations and laughing together. The melodic bird, perched on a low tree, began to sing a cheerful song, prompting everyone to join in an impromptu chorus. "Let's celebrate, let's dance. Halloween is here, it's time to sing." Its voice resonated sweetly, and soon everyone began to move, dancing under the moonlight. The children, enchanted by the magical atmosphere, ran back and forth, helping to hang more lanterns and decorations. One of them, dressed as a witch, shouted to her friends, "Look how this web shines! It's like it has a life of its own." The excitement was palpable, and each new decoration seemed to bring even more magic to the forest. With her heart warmed, Webby couldn't help but feel grateful to have such special friends and to have learned the importance of collaboration. "This is more than I ever dreamed," she said to the wise owl, who was watching with a satisfied smile. "The beauty isn't just in the web, but in all of us together." The wise owl, with a serene look, replied, "That's true, my dear spider. The true essence of Halloween is the unity and joy we are able to share. Today you transformed a challenge into a celebration. As everyone danced and sang, the energy of the party grew. The children's laughter intertwined with the sounds of nature, creating a harmonious symphony. Webby felt that all her efforts had been worth it. The forest, illuminated by lanterns and adorned with everyone's creations, was a true testament to the magic that can arise when working together. One of the children, a girl dressed as a little ghost, approached Webby and said, "You're the coolest spider I've ever met. Thank you for letting us help." "This is amazing." Webby smiled, her heart swelling with joy. "You all are amazing. Without you, it wouldn't have been so special. Let's keep the party going together." Hearing this, the children began to shout in unison, "More decorations, more laughter. Let's make the best Halloween party ever." And so everyone joined in once again, with a wave of enthusiasm, running to collect more materials and decorations. Minutes turned into hours, and the forest transformed into a stunning spectacle. The light from the lanterns reflected off the leaves and the web, making everything seem to glow with a magical energy. Webby, watching the scene, realized that even though things hadn't gone as she had initially planned, the true beauty of that night lay in what they had built together, with friendship and joy. "Look at all this," shouted the agile squirrel, jumping with joy. "We're creating memories we'll never forget." And with that, everyone raised their hands in celebration, smiling at each other, aware that on that magical night, the forest was not just decorated, but filled with love and friendship. On that magical Halloween night, the forest was alive with laughter and joy, while Webby, the little spider, watched everything with a radiant smile. She sat on a high branch, surrounded by her friends and the children who had joined in decorating the forest. The glow of the lanterns illuminated their happy faces, and the atmosphere was filled with contagious energy. Webby felt immense happiness as she realized that all of this was the result of unity and teamwork. "Look at this," exclaimed Webby, gesturing to the web that was now adorned with colorful leaves and little fruits. "I never imagined it could look so beautiful, all thanks to you." The agile squirrel, who was hanging from a nearby branch, let out a giggle and replied, "And to think it all started with you, Webby. Your idea to make the web the coolest turned into a real party." "That's true," added the melodic bird, perched on a nearby tree, singing a soft melody. "The music, the dance, and the decorations have all become one. We all brought something special. That's what creates the true magic of Halloween." The wise owl, watching the scene with a satisfied smile, decided to chime in. "My friends, see how collaboration has transformed a challenge into a wonderful celebration. What you've created here goes beyond what the eyes can see. It is the essence of friendship and unity." Webby looked at her wise friend and said, "I was so focused on doing something perfect on my own that I almost missed the chance to share this experience with all of you. Now I realize that the true beauty lies in each of us, united by a purpose." "Yes, life is richer when we have friends by our side to share special moments," commented the agile squirrel, leaping from branch to branch, full of energy. "And the best part is that this night will be etched in our memories forever." The children gathered around began to get even more excited. "Let's dance!" one of them shouted, pulling the others into a circle. "The party can't stop!" Webby joined the group, and soon everyone was dancing joyfully under the light of the full moon. Laughter echoed through the forest, and each step seemed to bring more life to the place. The music from the melodic bird blended with the sounds of nature, creating a perfect symphony celebrating everyone's unity. "Look how the net sparkles," said one of the children, pointing to the masterpiece that Webby and her friends had created together. "It looks magical." "Absolutely," exclaimed Webby, gazing at the net that now reflected the moonlight and lanterns, creating a stunning spectacle. "I never thought we could make something so beautiful together. I'm so happy you're all here." The wise owl approached, a glimmer in his eyes. "Remember, my young friends, that the true essence of life lies in the connections we build. What you've created here goes far beyond a simple Halloween decoration. You've forged bonds that will last forever." Hearing the wise owl's words, Webby felt a wave of gratitude. "And it all started with a solitary dream of a little spider," she reflected aloud. "Now I see that my heart has filled with joy and companionship. That is what really matters." "Yes," the children shouted in unison, jumping for joy. "Friendship is the best decoration of all." In that moment, the forest was more alive than ever, pulsing with the energy of unity. Webby looked around, seeing the radiant faces of her friends and the children, all together in a single spirit of celebration. She knew that, regardless of what happened next, this night would be remembered as a milestone in their lives, a testament that the true magic of Halloween lay not in decorations, but in the memories and bonds they had created together. The Halloween party was in full swing in the magical forest, with laughter and music echoing among the trees. Webby, the little spider, looked at her creation with pride. Her net was more stunning than she had ever imagined, adorned with colorful leaves, small pumpkins, and other decorations her friends and the children had brought. But as everyone enjoyed themselves, a sudden change in the weather began to manifest. A strong, unexpected gust of wind started to blow through the woods, shaking the branches of the trees and making the lanterns flicker. Webby, who was admiring the teamwork, felt her heart race when she saw the net beginning to sway dangerously. "Oh no!" she exclaimed, looking at her friends who also noticed the approaching threat. "Our net! It's going to unravel again!" The wise owl, always calm and rational, looked at Webby with a serene expression. "Don't worry, Webby. Remember what we've learned. If we work together, we can overcome any challenge, even those that seem bigger than us." But the spider was not so sure. "What if we can't? We worked so hard for this. I don't want it all to end now." Her voice trembled, reflecting the anxiety she felt. The agile squirrel, with her keen eyes, quickly approached Webby, her tail twitching nervously. "Look, the children, they can help us. Let's ask them to join us in holding the net." Webby turned and saw the children, who were playing nearby, completely unaware of the danger approaching. But what if they don't want to? What if they think we're just interrupting their fun? The melodic bird, watching the scene with hopeful eyes, sang softly, "Joy is contagious, Webby. The children love to participate. Let's introduce them to the challenge. Together we are stronger." With a deep sigh, Webby decided it was time to act. She took a deep breath and with courage approached the group of children. "Hey everyone, come quickly, we need your help." The children, curious and excited, ran over to Webby. "What happened?" one of them asked, eyes wide with anticipation. "Our net is in danger. The wind could destroy it and we need you to help us hold it," Webby explained, pointing to the net that was starting to sway even more violently. Let's go," shouted one child, raising their arms. "We're ready to help." Webby felt relieved to see the excitement on the children's faces. They were willing to collaborate, and that inspired her. "Great, we need all of you around the net. Let's unite and hold it together." The children positioned themselves around the net, while Webby and her friends prepared to face the approaching storm. "Hold tight," shouted the agile squirrel as the wind picked up. They all exchanged glances, and determination grew among them. "1, 2, 3, commanded the wise owl. "Now hold on with all your might." When the gust of wind hit the net, everyone clung on tightly. The small hands of the children intertwined with Webby and her friend's legs, creating a united force. The wind howled furiously, but the net held firm. The unity of everyone was stronger than the storm. "We're doing it," shouted one of the children, and a wave of encouragement spread through the group. Laughter and shouts of joy mingled with the sound of the wind, creating a unique melody that echoed through the forest. Webby looked at her friends and the children, feeling her heart swell with gratitude and happiness. "This is amazing. We're all together and that's what really matters." "Yes," replied Agile Squirrel, as she tried to stabilize the net. "Together, we're invincible." And so, amidst the howling wind and the laughter of the children, Webby and her friends discovered that true strength lay in unity and collaboration. The net, which once seemed vulnerable, now became a symbol of friendship and resilience. As the party unfolded under the twinkling moonlight, a sudden strong gust of wind swept through the forest, causing everyone present to look at the net that Webby and her friends had worked so hard to create. Tension filled the air, and a mix of fear and anxiety took hold of the group. The children, who had been enchanted by the decorations and having fun, quickly sensed the critical situation. "Look, the net is shaking a lot," shouted one of the children, her eyes wide with worry. Webby, who had been admiring the masterpiece the net had become, felt her heart race. She didn't want everything they had done to disappear in an instant. "We can't let that happen," exclaimed Webby, her voice trembling. "What are we going to do?" The wise owl, always calm and serene, flew to the edge of the net and surveyed the situation. "Calm down, my friends. What we need now is unity. If we work together, we can overcome any storm." The children looked at each other, and a messy-haired boy raised his hand. "Let's hold the net. If we all do it together, maybe we can stabilize it." "That's right," said Agile Squirrel, her eyes shining with determination. "We need to act fast. Everyone, come with me." With a spirit of collaboration, the children spread around the net, each holding on to a piece of it, while Webby and her friends joined them. The wind blew fiercely, but the unity of everyone was even more powerful. The net, which had seemed on the verge of collapse, was now being supported by small and large hands, by hearts full of joy and determination. "Hold on tight," shouted Webby, as she and her friends positioned themselves to help stabilize the structure. 1, 2, 3, pull! With a collective effort, everyone pulled down on the net, trying to anchor it against the force of the wind. The owl watched with pride, realizing how unity could transform a moment of despair into a demonstration of collective strength. And then, amidst the chaos, something magical happened. A brilliant light began to emanate from the net, as if the very stars in the sky were joining together to illuminate that moment. Everyone's eyes turned to the net, which now shone brightly, reflecting vibrant colors that danced in the air. "Wow, look at that!" exclaimed one of the girls, her mouth agape in awe. "The net is glowing." "It's like the magic of Halloween is inside it," said a boy, his eyes sparkling with wonder. Laughter and shouts of joy echoed through the forest, blending with the sound of the wind. Webby, with tears of happiness streaming down her face, looked at her friends and the children. "Look, the net not only withstood the wind, but now it's a symbol of everything we've accomplished together. This is more than I could have ever dreamed." The wise owl, with a satisfied expression, remarked, "See how collaboration and friendship turned a challenge into something beautiful? This net now represents the unity and joy we all shared tonight." "This is incredible," shouted Agile Squirrel, jumping for joy. "We did it! Look how we reflect the light of Halloween." Everyone began to dance around the net, their voices rising in songs of celebration. The magic of the night intensified, and the forest was alive with vibrant energy. Webby, moved, looked around at everyone and realized that through collaboration and love, they had not only created an extraordinary decoration, but also an unbreakable bond. "Thank you all so much," Webby shouted, her heart overflowing with joy. "You made this night unforgettable." And so, under the magical glow of the net and with smiles on their faces, everyone gathered for a group hug, celebrating not just the party, but the true essence of life: unity, friendship, and creativity. Let's not say goodbye just yet. There's another story ready to unfold. Under the gentle warmth of the Andalusian sun, the farm stretched out like a vibrant painting, where wildflowers danced in the wind and the soft sound of birds filled the air. In the center of this picturesque scene stood Esteban, a majestic dark brown horse grazing peacefully. His deep eyes reflected the wisdom accumulated over the years as he gazed at the horizon, lost in thoughts about the life around him. "Ah, how tranquil the days are here," he murmured to himself, giving a slight nod. "But what about the challenges that others face? I can't help but wonder about that." The sight of the dense forest rising beyond the farm's borders stirred his curiosity. Esteban had always felt a connection to every creature inhabiting those lands, and the idea that, behind the beauty, there might be hidden dangers intrigued him. Meanwhile, in a clearing of the forest, a young deer named Mateo was exploring his surroundings. His eyes sparkled with the innocence of youth as he was captivated by the beauty of the flowers and the serenity of the place. "Wow, everything is so beautiful here," Mateo exclaimed as he approached a flowering bush. "I've never seen anything so colorful." He eagerly sniffed the flowers, but soon the echo of an intriguing sound caught his attention. Curious and impulsive, he decided to follow the noise, unaware that he was straying from the familiar path. The forest, initially welcoming, soon transformed into a maze of shadows and strange noises. The soft sunlight filtered through the trees, creating an increasingly intimidating atmosphere. "What was that?" Mateo murmured, stopping abruptly at the sound of a twig snapping. Fear began to seep into his heart, and his mind, once filled with curiosity, was now clouded with insecurities. I shouldn't have come here alone," he whispered, looking around with wide eyes. With his heart racing, he shrank behind a tree, his body trembling with fear. "What if there's a predator? What if I never get back home?" he thought, his mind now dominated by uncertainty. "Please, someone help me." The echo of his voice was lost among the trees, and solitude enveloped him like a heavy fog. Meanwhile, Esteban, still grazing on the farm, sensed a change in the air. Something told him that one of the forest inhabitants was in trouble. He lifted his head, becoming alert. "Mateo!" he exclaimed, recognizing the young deer's voice amidst the whispering wind. The protective instinct that had always guided him awakened, and he decided he could not remain still. "I need to find him," Esteban said to himself, his determination growing. With a powerful push from his legs, Esteban galloped toward the forest, the sun still shining brightly. But his concern for the young deer propelled him with urgency. "Mateo, where are you?" he called, his voice resonating among the trees. "Don't be afraid, I'm on my way." The forest seemed to swallow the sounds, but Esteban persisted, his heart pounding. He knew that courage was not the absence of fear, but the decision to act. And now it was his turn to be the protector. "You're not alone, my friend," he murmured as he ventured deeper into the dense vegetation, determined to find Mateo and bring him back to safety. Esteban, the majestic horse from the farm, lay under the shade of an oak tree, sun rays filtering through the green leaves. He watched the blue sky, reflecting on the tranquility of his days in Andalusia. The scent of wildflowers filled the air, and the soft sound of singing birds was like a serene melody. However, his deep and wise gaze turned toward the nearby forest, where small movements and sounds piqued his curiosity. What could be happening over there, he thought. Animals always face challenges that we often don't notice. Meanwhile, in the heart of the forest, a small deer named Mateo was on an exploration adventure. His eyes shone with the beauty around him. The sunlight danced on the leaves, and the smell of damp earth filled him with joy. "Look at this amazing place," Mateo exclaimed to himself, bouncing from side to side. However, his joy soon turned to despair when he, distracted by an intriguing sound, wandered off the familiar path. "Wait, where am I?" he murmured, realizing he no longer recognized the forest around him. The environment quickly grew darker and more frightening. The sounds that had once seemed curious now echoed threateningly. Mateo felt his heart race and a sense of fear gripped him. "What if I never find my way back?" he thought, as he hid behind a tree, trembling with insecurity. "I'm just a small deer. What can I do?" Thoughts swirled in his mind, creating a whirlwind of doubts and uncertainties. Esteban, on the other side, felt Mateo's anguish as if it were his own. With a determined neigh, he rose and began walking toward the forest. "Mateo, where are you?" he called, his voice softly resonating among the trees. Esteban's determination was palpable. He knew he needed to help the lost young deer. "I can't leave him alone in such a scary place," he thought, as he stepped away from the safety of the farm. During his search, memories of his own youth surfaced in Esteban's mind. He recalled a day when he too felt insecure and lost, unsure how to face his fears. "Courage is a process," he murmured to himself, as the echoes of his own voice seemed to guide him. He approached the spot where Mateo's heartbeat could be heard, and soon spotted the little deer huddled against a tree. "Mateo!" Esteban called with a gentle yet firm voice. The deer raised its head, its large, frightened eyes meeting Esteban's. "Calm down, little friend. I'm here to help you." Esteban approached carefully, aware of the fear that dominated Mateo. "Don't be afraid. I'm Esteban, and I'm here to guide you back." Mateo looked at Esteban, fear still present, but something about the majestic horse's presence began to calm him. I got lost," Mateo stammered, his voice trembling. "I don't know how to get back home." "We all get lost sometimes, Mateo," Esteban replied, sitting down beside the deer. "What's important is that you're not alone. We all face challenges, and it's normal to be afraid. What matters is how we choose to deal with it." Mateo listened intently, Esteban's words of wisdom starting to penetrate his confused mind. "But what if I can't face what's ahead of me?" he asked, his insecurity rising again. "Courage isn't the absence of fear, but the decision to confront that fear," Esteban explained, looking into Mateo's eyes. "Let's go together, one step at a time. I'll be by your side." With a newfound spark of hope, Mateo felt that maybe, just maybe, he could find his way back, and that the journey didn't have to be taken alone. Esteban and Mateo continued their journey through the forest, the soft sound of the wind rustling through the leaves creating a soothing melody that contrasted with the fear still lingering in the young deer's heart. With each step, Esteban glanced over, trying to read Mateo's expression, which still seemed hesitant. The majestic horse, with its shiny coat glistening in the sunlight, knew that Mateo's confidence needed to be nurtured, like a flower blooming in barren soil. "Mateo," Esteban began, his voice deep and calm like a serene stream. "When I was young, I also felt lost during difficult times. There were days when the shadow of fear followed me at every turn, but I learned that facing those fears is the first step to overcoming them. The deer stopped, his ears perking up with curiosity. Really? What did you do, Esteban? Mateo's insecurity was palpable, but there was a glimmer of interest in his eyes. Well, Esteban smiled, recalling a time when, just like Mateo, he too felt small in the vast world. Once, I got lost in a storm. The wind howled and the rain fell on me as if the sky was collapsing. I was so scared that I just wanted to hide. But then, I heard a gentle voice, that of an owl, telling me not to give up. It guided me to a safe shelter. Mateo stared at the ground, thoughtful. And did you find your way back? Yes, I did, Esteban replied, his deep gaze fixed on the young deer. But it wasn't just the owl that helped me. I realized there were other animals around me, ready to lend a hand. Together we found a safe path. Sometimes we just need a friend by our side. The forest around them seemed to brighten as Esteban spoke. The trees, with their vibrant green leaves, seemed to listen to the conversation and whisper secrets of courage. Look, Mateo, Esteban continued, pointing to a clearing ahead where wildflowers danced in the wind. Beauty surrounds us, even in the darkest moments. Sometimes all we need to do is change our perspective. I want to try, Mateo said hesitantly, but with a spark of determination beginning to emerge in his eyes. I want to learn to be brave like you. That's wonderful, my friend, Esteban replied, encouraging him with a gentle nod. Courage isn't the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. Let's explore this clearing together. As they entered the clearing, sunlight bathed them in a comforting warmth. The flowers released a sweet aroma, almost as if celebrating the new friendship blossoming there. See how beautiful it is here, Esteban said, taking a deep breath. Nature is full of life and color, and it should remind us that there's always something good, even amidst difficulties. Mateo began to look around, his ears moving with curiosity. Yes, it's beautiful here. His voice, once trembling, now sounded more animated. The flowers seem so happy. Just like we can be, Esteban affirmed. Talking about our fears is a way to confront them. Do you feel comfortable sharing what scares you the most? Well, I'm afraid of being alone, Mateo admitted, his voice almost a whisper. Sometimes I feel like I'm not strong enough to face what's ahead. Esteban leaned closer, looking into the deer's eyes. Mateo, we all have insecurities, but it's important to remember that you're not alone. Look at me. I'm strong, but I've felt weak too. Strength lies in acknowledging our weaknesses and seeking support. I want to be strong like you, Esteban, Mateo said, his voice now firmer. I promise I'll try. That's all we need, my friend. Esteban smiled, his heart warmed by Mateo's determination. Let's continue our journey. Together we are stronger. And so, with each step they took, the friendship between Esteban and Mateo began to strengthen, like the roots of a tree intertwining in fertile soil. The forest, once a maze of fears, was now becoming a space of adventure and self-discovery. As Esteban and Mateo walked through the forest, sunlight filtered through the leafy green canopies, creating a pattern of light and shadow on the ground. The scent of wildflowers filled the air, bringing a sense of peace. However, the tranquility was abruptly interrupted when they heard a sharp, hurried noise, as if something was in panic. Curious, the two approached a small burrow, where a family of rabbits huddled together, their large, frightened eyes reflecting the fear that overwhelmed them. "What's happening?" asked Esteban, stepping cautiously closer, his deep voice reassuring. A rabbit with white fur and long ears turned to them, and with a trembling voice replied, "A wolf is prowling around our burrow. We're scared he might attack us." Mateo, who stood beside Esteban, felt a chill in his stomach at the mention of wolf. He looked at Esteban, who, sensing the young deer's unease, nodded encouragingly. "Don't worry," said Esteban, addressing the rabbits. "We will find a solution together. A wolf isn't necessarily an enemy. He might just be looking for food." The rabbits exchanged uncertain glances, but Esteban's imposing presence gave them a glimmer of hope. "What do you suggest, Esteban?" asked the rabbit, her eyes filled with expectation. "We need a plan," Esteban replied, looking at Mateo and then at the rabbits. "Instead of hiding, we should use your agility to our advantage. If we work together, we can create distractions and traps to confuse the wolf." Mateo listened intently, absorbing Esteban's words. The thought of facing a wolf, even with a plan, still left him nervous, but he wanted to be helpful. "But what if the wolf is too clever?" asked an older rabbit, his voice wavering. "What if he catches us anyway?" Esteban looked firmly at the rabbit, his expression calm. "I believe that together we are stronger. We need to think creatively. If you all unite and use your speed, you can set up traps that the wolf won't be able to avoid." Feeling a surge of courage, Mateo decided to speak up. I can help," he said, his voice a little steadier. "We can use the sounds of the forest to confuse him. If he hears noises from one side and sees movement from the other, he might get disoriented." The rabbits looked at Mateo, surprised, but the white-furred rabbit smiled. "That's a great idea. If the wolf doesn't know where the sounds are coming from, he might get confused." Esteban nodded, pleased. "Exactly. Let's organize everything. Each of you can take on a specific role. While some of you create traps, others can make noise to distract the wolf." The rabbits began to feel excited, and the atmosphere of fear began to dissipate. With Esteban's guidance and Mateo's idea, they formed a small group, each assuming their role. "So, let's work together," said the rabbit, now more confident. "Let's show this wolf that we are faster and smarter." Mateo felt his heart race, not only from the lingering fear, but from the thrill of being part of something bigger. He looked at Esteban, who smiled and stepped forward. "Unity is strength, my friends. Let's prepare for whatever comes our way." With renewed determination, the animals began to plan, and the forest that once seemed a place of dread was now transforming into a space of collaboration and hope. However, Mateo, still unsure, hesitated at Esteban's proposal. He watched the rabbits huddled around, their little eyes gleaming with a mix of fear and determination. The wolf was a real threat, and the idea of confronting him left the young deer feeling apprehensive. Esteban's words echoed in his mind. Unity is essential to overcome challenges, but how could he, an inexperienced and timid deer, contribute to such a bold plan? "Esteban," Mateo began, his voice trembling, "what if the trap doesn't work? What if the wolf catches us? I don't want anything to happen to you." The deer's gaze was fixed on the ground, as if he wanted to hide from the reality surrounding him. Esteban moved closer, placing a large, comforting muzzle on the young deer's shoulder. "Mateo, it's normal to feel scared. We all do. But it's in moments like this that we need to find the courage within ourselves. Remember, you're not alone. We're all in this together." The rabbits, who had been silent until then, began to murmur among themselves. One of them, a rabbit named Lila, raised her voice. "If Esteban trusts you, then we can trust you too. We need every member of the group for the plan to work. Together we are stronger." Mateo looked at Lila, feeling warmth rise in his chest. "But what if I fail? I'm not as fast or clever as you all," he said, his insecurity evident in every word. "Mateo, each of us has different skills," Esteban replied firmly. "You may not be fast, but you have a creative mind. And remember, true courage is facing fear, even when you feel incapable. Let's show the wolf that we are more than just prey." The determination in Esteban's words began to sink in for Mateo. He took a deep breath, trying to push aside his insecurities. "What can I do?" he asked, hesitance still in his voice, but now with a spark of curiosity in his eyes. "You can help create distractions," suggested Esteban. "You know the forest better than any of us. You could think of sounds that might confuse the wolf." Mateo furrowed his brow, thinking of the various creatures that inhabited the forest and the sounds they made. "Maybe I can mimic the sound of a bird in distress. That could draw him away from us," he said, the idea starting to take shape in his mind. Perfect! Exclaimed Lila, her eyes shining. If you can make the wolf think something more interesting is happening, that might buy us time to move. A glimmer of hope began to fill Mateo's heart. He looked at the rabbits, now more confident. So let's do this together. I will try. That's right, said Esteban, encouraging the young deer. Each of us has an important role to play. Your idea might be just what we need to overcome this situation. Fueled by the new strategy, the rabbits began to organize themselves. They spread out across the clearing, each taking a position, ready to act. Mateo positioned himself in one corner, focusing on imitating the bird. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath, trying to connect with the nature around him. Let's start counting to 3, said Lila, looking at everyone with a serious expression. 1, 2, 3. Mateo let out a sharp and desperate cry, mimicking the sound of a bird in distress. The sound echoed through the forest, and he felt a wave of nervousness, but also determination. The wolf, who until then had seemed a distant shadow, began to approach, drawn by the sound. Great job, Mateo, shouted Esteban, seeing the wolf move toward the sound. Mateo's confidence began to blossom as he felt part of something bigger. The rabbits prepared themselves, and Mateo felt that despite his fear, he was finally contributing to the protection of his friends. Their unity, the strength each one brought, was revealing itself amidst the challenge. They were ready to face the wolf, and Mateo's courage began to manifest in ways he had never imagined. The sun was starting to set, painting the forest in golden and orange hues. But the beauty of the scene couldn't hide the tension in the air. Esteban and Mateo were together, surrounded by the rabbit burrow, when the sound of heavy, dragging footsteps made all hearts stop. The wolf, with its cunning and fierce gaze, appeared among the trees, its imposing presence generating a mix of fear and adrenaline among the animals. There he is, whispered one of the rabbits, eyes wide as he pointed to the silhouette of the wolf. What are we going to do? His voice trembled, reflecting the panic that quickly spread through the group. Esteban, noticing the animal's unease, kept his posture calm. He approached slowly, conveying security with his presence. Everyone listen carefully, he began, his voice deep and steady. We need to organize ourselves. Fear won't help us now. Let's use our intelligence and cunning. Mateo, who was beside Esteban, felt his heart racing. He looked at the wolf, which was observing everything with a curious and disdainful air, as if evaluating its prey. But what if he attacks us? Mateo asked, his voice low and hesitant. He's much stronger than we are. Esteban turned to Mateo, his eyes shining with understanding. I know it's scary, my friend, but remember what we talked about. Courage isn't the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite it. We need to find a way to protect ourselves and maybe even confuse that wolf. The rabbits, who had been silent until then, began to murmur among themselves. What can we do? He can catch us easily, one of them said, trembling. We need to think outside the box, suggested Esteban, looking at the rabbits. You all are swift and agile. If we work together, we can create distractions to keep him confused. Let's use the forest to our advantage. Mateo felt a spark of hope and decided to contribute. What if we make noises? We can use the sounds of the forest to distract him. He might not know where the sounds are coming from, and that could give us time to hide, he suggested, his voice gaining confidence. That's a great idea, Mateo, exclaimed Esteban, smiling. Let's plan. We need a safe place to hide while you create the distractions. Rabbits, you can run to the bushes and make noise with leaves and branches. Mateo and I will position ourselves where we can see everything. The rabbits, now more excited with the idea, began to move quickly. Come on, hurry, encouraged one of the rabbits, a glimmer of determination in his eyes. We need to prepare before he gets any closer. Mateo felt his heart race, not just from fear but from excitement. It was the first time he felt part of a plan, part of a team. He and Esteban positioned themselves behind a sturdy tree where they could observe the wolf while still being protected. Esteban, do you think this will work? Mateo asked, feeling the adrenaline coursing through his veins. I have faith, my friend. Remember, We all have an important role to play here. The wolf may be strong, but together we are more cunning, Esteban replied, watching intently as the wolf approached slowly. The wolf then stopped, focusing its attention on the rabbit burrow and the sounds beginning to echo through the forest. The rabbits, in an act of courage, started to run in circles, thumping their feet on the ground and making noise with the dry leaves. The wolf, confused, looked from side to side, trying to understand what was happening. "Now let's go," Esteban whispered to Mateo as the plan unfolded. The tension in the air was palpable, but there was something more, a sense of unity and courage that was beginning to emerge among them. The animals were in palpable tension as the wolf approached, its dark silhouette standing out against the light of the sunset. The group, made up of Esteban, Mateo, and the family of rabbits, knew that the moment to act had arrived. The adrenaline surged in Mateo's veins, who now felt part of the fight, though still a bit hesitant. He looked at Esteban, who with a steady gaze encouraged the young deer to speak up. "Mateo, did you remember the idea you had about using the sounds of the forest to confuse the wolf?" Esteban asked, his voice calm and encouraging. "Yes, I thought we could mimic the sounds of birds, and even the noise of an injured deer. That might distract him," Mateo replied, feeling a surge of confidence as he expressed his idea. His words flowed more securely now, as if recent experiences had shaped him. The rabbits gathered around listened intently. One of them, named Benny, with his long ears and big eyes, widened them in surprise. "Do you think that would work? The wolf is very clever. He might realize it's a trap." "We have to try," said Esteban, nodding his head. "The important thing is that we are together. If one of us fails, the others can help. Let's use our creativity and the strength of teamwork." With a nod of agreement, the rabbits began to organize themselves. They quickly dispersed, choosing strategic locations around the clearing. Esteban and Mateo positioned themselves behind a small bush, where they could see the wolf clearly. Mateo's heart raced, but he took a deep breath, trying to control his anxiety. "Remember, Mateo," Esteban said in a low voice, "the wolf may be big, but we are quicker and smarter when we work together. Now, let's do this." Mateo nodded, feeling more grounded. He looked at the rabbits, who in unison began to imitate the songs of birds. The sound was a mix of cheerful, high-pitched trills echoing through the forest. It was a call that could attract any curious creature, and to the wolf, it should sound like a banquet of opportunities. "Now I'm going to make the sound of an injured deer," Mateo declared, still nervous but now tempered with determination. He positioned himself, took a deep breath, and made the call. "Meh! Meh!" The sound was convincing and filled with emotion. The wolf, approaching cautiously, paused in his tracks. He perked up his ears, intrigued, and turned his head in the direction of the sound. Confusion was clear in his eyes, giving Mateo an extra boost of confidence. "That's it, keep going," encouraged Esteban, seeing that the plan was working. "Now, rabbits, make more noise. Let's create a real commotion." The rabbits, excited, began to hop around and make noise, thumping their paws on the ground and creating a genuine sonic spectacle. The wolf, visibly confused, took a step forward, then another, trying to discover where the sounds were coming from. "What's happening here? What is this?" the wolf murmured to himself, looking around nervously. "Now, Mateo, make him feel surrounded," Esteban shouted, his voice ringing out like a clear command. Mateo, without hesitation, repeated the sound of the injured deer, but now with more strength. "Me, me!" Finally aware that something was amiss, the wolf began to retreat. The confusion didn't dissipate, and the sounds of the rabbits and the deer seemed to come from all directions. "I don't like this. It's a trap," he growled, looking around nervously. In a moment of pure victory, the wolf decided the best option was to retreat. He turned quickly and started to run, his silhouette fading away into the forest. The animals, relieved, began to jump and embrace each other, celebrating their victory. "We did it! We did it!" shouted one of the rabbits, hopping with joy. Esteban turned to Mateo, a wide smile on his face. "You were amazing, young friend. Your courage and idea helped save us all." Mateo's heart swelled with pride and happiness. He looked at Esteban and the rabbits, feeling truly part of that friendship. "Thank you, Esteban. I couldn't have done it without you and all of you." "That's what friends do," Esteban replied. "They support and help each other. And now you know that courage can manifest in unexpected ways, right?" Mateo smiled, feeling stronger and more confident than ever, ready to face any challenge that might come next, always alongside his friends. After the intense confrontation with the wolf, the animals gathered in a sunlit clearing where the light filtered through the leaves of the trees, creating a warm atmosphere. The air was still charged with adrenaline, but now there was a sense of relief and camaraderie. Esteban, with his majestic stature, looked at the young friends around him. Mateo the deer, still recovering from the experience, appeared more confident, and the rabbits were animated, hopping with joy. "We're all okay, aren't we?" Esteban asked, his deep and calm voice echoing in the clearing. "We survived an encounter with a clever wolf, and that's a great achievement." Mateo looked at the rabbits, who nodded, still panting but smiling. "I never thought we could trick a wolf. It was incredible," he exclaimed, his voice full of enthusiasm. "I felt a courage I never knew I had." One of the rabbits, named Tobias, perked up his ears excitedly. "I couldn't believe when you suggested using the sounds of the forest, Mateo. It was a brilliant idea. I felt safer with all of us working together." Esteban smiled, admiring the camaraderie among the new friends. And that's the magic of unity. Each of us brought something unique to the group. That's how we face challenges, side by side. Esteban's words resonated among the animals, and a sense of unity filled the air. They began to share their experiences of the fight against the wolf, each recounting their perspectives. "When I saw the wolf approaching, my heart nearly stopped," said Clara, a small rabbit with wide eyes. "But when you signaled us to hide, I thought, we're in this together." "Exactly," Mateo affirmed, his eyes shining. "I realized I wasn't alone. That gave me courage. When everyone started working together, I felt like I was part of something bigger, something important." Esteban nodded, pleased with his friend's reflections. It's essential to remember that true strength doesn't lie solely in physical bravery. Sometimes it's our ability to collaborate and trust one another that makes us invincible. The rabbits began to look at each other, smiles forming on their faces. One of them, named Oliver, spoke up. "I think we should start a club. A courage club, where we all support each other and share our ideas. What do you all think?" The other rabbits, excited by the suggestion, quickly agreed. "Yes, we can meet every week and share what we learn about courage and friendship," said Tobias. "And we can invite new friends," added Clara, jumping for joy. "This could be a big family. Let's learn together." Mateo smiled, feeling the warmth of friendship around him. "I would love to be part of this. I've never felt so accepted and strong. Thank you, Esteban, for helping me realize that I'm not alone." "And thank you all for showing me that friendship is essential," Esteban said, looking at each one of them. "Together, we're stronger than we could ever imagine. Each of you has an important role in this group." The clearing was now filled with laughter and animated conversations as the animals shared more stories from their lives, strengthening the bonds that had begun to form during their adventure. Esteban watched with a smile on his face, his heart warmed by the transformation of Mateo and the unity of the animals. "I've never had friends like you before," Mateo confessed, his eyes shining. "I used to feel so insecure, but now I feel like I can face anything." "That's what friendship does," exclaimed Tobias. "It gives us courage, and together we can tackle any challenge life throws our way." With those words, the animals committed to caring for one another and supporting each other in all circumstances. The clearing, once marked by fear, was now a symbol of hope and resilience. Friendship had blossomed among them, and in that moment, they all knew that together they could conquer any fear that came their way. Esteban and Mateo walked side by side along the trail leading back to the farm, the sun beginning to set on the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The scent of wildflowers still lingered in the air, and the birds' song seemed to celebrate the victory they had achieved together. As the two friends moved forward, Mateo's heart pulsed with a mix of relief and pride. He had faced his fears and helped save the rabbits. "You were amazing today, Mateo," said Esteban, looking at the young deer with a warm smile. "I knew you had it in you." Mateo, feeling a bit flushed, looked down, shy in the face of the praise. "I just did what you said about working together, but I still can't believe we managed to scare off the wolf." "It was your idea that made the difference," Esteban replied, stopping to look Mateo in the eyes. "Courage isn't just about facing what scares us. It's also about believing in ourselves and our ideas. You showed that today." Esteban's words echoed in Mateo's mind like a whisper of hope. He smiled, feeling a new confidence blooming within him. "Thank you, Esteban. I really didn't think I could be so helpful." "We all have a part to play, my friend," Esteban said, continuing to walk. "And when we work together, we are stronger. Always remember that." As they arrived at the farm, the scene was illuminated by the soft lights of dusk. The rabbits, who had gathered in the clearing, were eagerly awaiting news. The joy in the air was palpable. Everyone was relieved to see Esteban and Mateo return. As the group approached, one rabbit named Pip jumped forward, his eyes shining with curiosity. "What happened? Did you manage to get rid of the wolf?" Pip asked, his voice trembling with excitement. "We did," Esteban replied with a glimmer of pride. "And not only that, but we learned to work together. Mateo here had a brilliant idea that helped confuse the wolf." The rabbits began to applaud, and a celebratory atmosphere took hold. Mateo, somewhat surprised by the reaction, looked at Esteban, who simply smiled and gestured for him to speak. I just thought that if we made noise, he would get confused," Mateo explained, still a bit hesitant. "But it was everyone's idea that really worked." "That's right," shouted a female rabbit named Leela, hopping closer to Mateo. "Together we are stronger, and you were very brave, Mateo. I saw you take risks to help us all." As words of encouragement filled the air, Esteban watched with satisfaction. He knew that the true victory wasn't just in having driven away the threat of the wolf, but in the friendship and unity that had formed among them. He always believed that adversities could bring hearts and souls closer together for those willing to fight side by side. With the energy of the celebration growing, the group decided to have a small party at the farm. The rabbits brought fresh carrots and other vegetables they had gathered, while Esteban and Mateo went to fetch some fresh water from the stream. Once the food was served, everyone gathered in a circle, ready to share their stories. "Today was an incredible day," said Pip, looking around, "but what we learned together is even more important." Mateo, now more confident, raised his voice. "Yes, I learned that true courage isn't the absence of fear, but having friends by our side to face challenges." The rabbits enthusiastically agreed, and the joy in the air was contagious. "And friendship is what makes us strong," Lila added. "If we hadn't been together, we could have lost." Esteban watched with a satisfied smile, feeling proud of each one of them. He knew that this day would mark the beginning of a new phase in their lives, where fear would be faced with courage and the strength of friendship. And so, under the starry sky of Andalusia, they celebrated not only their victory over the wolf, but also the discovery that true strength lies in unity and empathy. The sun was setting, painting the sky with a soft orange hue, when suddenly the festive atmosphere at the farm was interrupted. The animals, who had been celebrating their victory over the wolf, felt a wave of tension wash over them as they caught sight of the silhouette of the predator approaching once again. The wolf, with its gray fur and piercing eyes, emerged from the forest, but unlike the first encounter, its posture was not threatening. It stopped at a distance, observing the scene with an expression that mingled curiosity and apprehension. Esteban, who was in the middle of a conversation with Mateo and the rabbits, immediately turned to the wolf. "What do you want, wolf?" he asked, his voice firm yet tinged with a mix of concern and curiosity. The wolf hesitated, as if weighing its words. I'm not here to fight," it replied in a soft tone. "I was just passing by, and the smell of food drew me here. I'm a traveler, hungry and tired." Mateo, watching the scene with a mix of fear and compassion, stepped forward. "So, you're hungry?" he asked, his heart racing. We can help you, can't we, Esteban?" He looked at the horse, seeking approval. Esteban, surprised by Mateo's proposal, felt a growing pride for his young friend. "Yes, we can. After all, we all face challenges, and if we are here to help each other, why not offer food to a traveler in need?" he said, trying to convey a message of compassion and understanding. The rabbits, initially hesitant, began to glance at one another. One of the rabbits, named Lila, perked up her ears. "But what if he tries to attack us again? He's a wolf, Esteban." Her voice trembled, revealing deep fear. "I understand your fear, Lila," Esteban responded calmly, "but we must remember that we cannot judge someone solely by their appearance or what they represent. The wolf may not be the enemy we think. Let's give him a chance." The wolf, listening intently, seemed relieved at the possibility of receiving help. "I'm not a bad wolf. I just do what I need to survive. Sometimes hunting is tough, and hunger makes me act impulsively." Mateo, feeling an increasing sense of empathy, said, "We also know what it's like to be afraid and hungry. The forest can be a difficult place. If you're willing to change, I'd like to help you." His words were sincere, and the wolf felt the weight of the gesture of kindness. "If you help me, I promise I won't be a threat to you," the wolf assured, stepping forward more confidently. "I just need a bit of food and maybe a place to rest." The rabbits, now more receptive, began to discuss among themselves. "Maybe we should share some carrots," suggested Lila. "He might help us in return if we need protection." Esteban nodded. "That's right. True strength isn't about distancing ourselves from those who are different, but about finding a way to coexist and learn from each other." He then turned to the wolf. "If you accept our offer, you can join us. We can even help you find food without you needing to hunt." The wolf, with a glimmer of gratitude in its eyes, replied, "I accept your offer. I'm ready to learn and change." It stepped closer, and the rabbits, hesitantly, began to bring carrots and fresh greens to the wolf, who accepted them with an air of gratitude. The party at the farm, which had once been marked by fear and tension, now transformed into a moment of unity. The animals laughed and shared stories together, while the wolf sat beside Esteban and Mateo, eating the carrots that had been offered to him. The atmosphere was light, and friendship began to blossom among them. "Today we learned that friendship can form in the most unexpected places," declared Esteban, looking at everyone present. "And that true strength lies in compassion." And so, under the starry sky of Andalusia, a horse, a deer, and a wolf became friends, showing that even the most pronounced differences can turn into opportunities for growth and understanding. Good night, my dear ones. Rest well and remember that tomorrow we'll have more stories to share.